Let me tell you how you could own this Ford GT for just £10,000. We are here at Avant-Garde Classics where we have sourced this amazing Ford GT. We brought the Ford GT onto the platform as the next syndicate because of its potential future appreciation. And that future appreciation is driven by a number of factors that this car has. One main biggest factor is the brutish driving experience. As we move all the way into electric vehicles and hybrid drivetrains, the supercars that retain that manual gearbox with a big V8 engine are ones that are really starting to be collectible and starting to climb in value. This Ford GT is no different. Having climbed significantly since its release in 2005, the values now of these cars are getting well into the 300s and maybe up into £400,000. And we project they could go even higher, up to 600k within 4 to 5 years' time. Few cars capture the essence of American motoring performance quite like the Ford GT. The predecessor, the Ford GT40, came to 1-2-3 victory at Le Mans 24 hours, beating out the Ferraris, which had a much higher budget, really setting the tone for American motorsport. The Ford GT is a homage back to that 1966 victory, being slightly taller than the original GT40, which stood exactly 40 inches away from the floor, but keeping so many of those original design cues. It's one that evokes that nostalgia, that passion, and really harks you back to that 1966 Le Mans win. Designed by Ford's special vehicle team, the Ford GT carries a lot of those original design cues from the GT40. The rear clamshell, the big V8 engine sitting behind the driver's seat, and of course the manual gearbox. And it's that engine that's really the swan song of the GT car, because it produces over 500 horsepower, rockets this car to 206 miles an hour, and the 0 to 60 time of just over 3 seconds. This really is such a brutish analog car because it's got no safety features. There's no traction control, no safety nets that are stopping you from sliding off of the road. This isn't just a car you drive, it's a car you really need to survive.
Oh, look at that. Look at it. Makes me feel 6 years old all over again. In fact, I think I've just wet myself.
Ford originally wanted to make 4,500 of these Ford GTs, but they only actually made just over 4,000 of them. And the reason for that was, well, it wasn't actually that well loved when it was released. A certain TV presenter had difficulties with the alarm and immobilizer, and I can attest he wasn't lying, it is pretty fiddly. The other reason was the access in and out of the car was seen really tricky. You can open the door, and in a big car park like this, no problem at all. You still get that wonderful sweeping curve that humps into the roofline exactly as it did within the GT40. That means when it's nicely open like this, you can get into the carbon back seats, no problem at all. But of course, if you're in a car park that might be a little bit smaller than this one, let's say your local Sainsbury's, you can only open the door to about here, and then pretty much, I mean, there's no way of getting into the car. So those access issues meant that the GT just wasn't all that practical and livable with. So when released in 2005 and 6, was a little bit unloved, underappreciated, but now makes it a bit more of that cult classic status that we look for at the car crowd. Let's continue on a little bit more with the car crowd investment thesis and why we chose to bring this Ford GT onto the platform. Well, first of all, we've talked about the fact that it's raw, that it's analog, and that it's so far away from the more modern cars being released today that have got the hybrid drivetrains and full of safety features that they almost drive themselves. This car has to be driven, and that's what a lot of collectors are looking for. We've also got that motorsport provenance and pedigree. The fact that this is a homage to those 1966 1-2-3 race-winning Le Mans cars makes this have a standout place in history. And then thirdly, we look to make sure we find the scarcest variant and the scarcest asset that has the best chance of appreciation. And although there were over 4,000 Ford GTs produced, there were a lot less that had the 4 options. These 4 options are critical when looking for an investable Ford GT, and of course the car we've chosen has them. First of all, you've got the hand-painted racing stripe that goes all the way across the top of the car. You have the red brake calipers, the forged aluminium BBS wheels, and the Macintosh audiophile stereo inside the cockpit as well. These 4 factors combined make this as one of the standout Ford GTs to go for, and the reason why we're bringing this one as the next syndicate onto the Car Crowd platform. So we talked about the 4 options as one of the main reasons why we're bringing this particular Ford GT onto the platform. There's a few other reasons as well. First of all, it's been sourced for us by Avant-Garde Classics, a very, very reputable collectible and classic car dealership here in the Midlands. We've also know the history of this car from GT 101, the people who look after almost every Ford GT in the country. We've spoken to them directly. We've sourced the provenance for this car right from when it was manufactured through to when it came over to the UK and has then done all of its miles here in the UK and been looked after and serviced by them. It's only done around 8,000 miles as well, so very low mileage, very sparingly used over the last 20 years, and it's been coated in PPF from new. So the paintwork, and we've gone around with that paint depth gauge and made sure the paintwork is as like new and absolutely perfect. All of that together with a great history file adds up to make this a fantastic example of a Ford GT, one with fantastic provenance, the right 4 options, low mileage, and a really, really good chance for future appreciation.